What's up? Nowstalgia Pod. Your halfway point of the year. It's July 5th. It is a day after Independence Day.
There you go.
American
Day.
Almost forgot what country I live in real quick. So what we wanted to do, last year we did power rankings of 2016 at the
First
halfway
half,
point.
yeah.
So now, because we do a wrap-up show at the end of the year, we want to check in and give out some awards for 2017 because it's been quite the year in culture.
Definitely has been, yeah.
A lot of culture to consume.
Do for the culture, man.
So we're gonna run through a couple awards, some major ones, some not so major ones that we wanted to touch on, some certain topics, just to wrap up your year and kind of give you a summary. So why don't we start though with a big award, Song of the Year, Dave?
Tough one.
Yeah, there's been a lot of very good songs out this year. We spoke last week about Vince Staples, the week before about Lorde, but I mean, we had Kendrick back in April.
Yep.
And then we had a week before that in March, we had Drake. So, what's your song of 2017?
It's a tough one, man. It's a tough one. I'm tempted to pick a Kendrick song. I'm tempted to pick Passion Fruit.
Tempted to pick Greenlight.
I'll probably pick Perfect Places if I was picking a
Wow.
song. But I'm going with a song by Lil Uzi Vert, EXO Tour Life.
Stop.
This song
This is not the song of the year.
Dude, are you serious? This song
No way.
is incredible. And the amount of buzz this song has, it's Uzi's most played song by almost 2 times. This came out. He's dropped this randomly in February, I think, and it's been top 10 in the country the past few weeks. And I think Vulture put it as it's the Gen Zers, the millennials version of Smells Like Teen Spirit in terms of the subject matter.
That's quite a claim.
And it's also quite a jump for Uzi as an artist because of how melodic it is.
Well, if you had to go with a song in terms of staying at the top of the charts, that's what I like, right?
Well, that was only briefly. I mean, you pick Slide. Probably.
Despacito's been up there for a little while.
I'm not just picking the number one hit. I'm picking it just because of
because you really like it. This is
not just that. I'm not the only one who just likes this. I think Complex has this as their second best song of 2017 so far. Just what it says for young hip hop and the new generation, I think, is really unique because I don't know. It seems like the song is so endearing to everyone that listens to it. And
right.
I mean, you could criticize it, like criticize anything else, but I think that the fact that it's so unique and so resonant with a certain generation is really important. That's why I want to shout it out.
Interesting. I gave this award to Kendrick Lamar, and I couldn't pick just one song, so I gave half to Humble and half to DNA.
See, I'm picking his album. I don't want to pick one of his songs, too. It's boring.
Yeah, but those songs. So I did not pick.
I would have picked Element over DNA personally.
DNA at that beginning though, and that background beat.
I got.
But I guess if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Humble, just because I feel like
Sure.
it's a catchier song. It's been kind of grabbing the culture a little bit more than DNA has.
Sometimes the lead single is the best song.
And that's something we've talked about, can be problematic. But
when the
album,
album's that strong, it's quite all right.
Yeah, it's all right. And also the music video that went with it. I mean, so many gifs.
It's true.
GIFs.
It's a good video. Left stroke just went viral as an easy tweet for any high leverage golf situation. So if you're watching the Masters, shout out Drake, Galchester, Passion Fruit. A lot of good songs on there.
Yeah, I had Greenlight down as a runner-up.
Chanel, Frank Ocean.
Yep.
A lot of good stuff, man.
I had Feel It
T-shirt,
down there.
Migos. Yeah. There's a lot of just stellar songs. I mean, picking one versus the other, I think, is it's hard.
And to get my rock shout out in there, Portugal the Man's Feel It Still is maybe the song I'll be listening to the most this summer.
Really? So you just gave up on that Phoenix song, huh?
I
told you it was just whatever.
No, Fiore Latte is really good, but Feel It Still, I mean, that song is so catchy.
What about Spoon?
Spoon Hot Thoughts is a good song.
The title track.
Talk You Into It, very good song.
That XX song
but
you like?
I just don't think they're song of the year. They're probably in the
right
15 to 30 range, somewhere in there.
See, and that's why I went with Uzi over Kendrick. Obviously Kendrick has the way better body of work.
Right.
But I don't think if any of the one Kendrick songs means anything more than the other ones in terms of first half 2017. Right. Whereas I think Uzi's EXO Tour Life really like struck a nerve.
Yeah.
In a unique way.
Well, I gotta say, Dave, I was surprised at the pick. You've kind of talked me into it, though. I do want to move on to the next topic, though. Someone I actually thought you were gonna pick. I thought you might pick Bad and Bougie, but I thought that came out 2016, right?
Correct.
So
Lead
you couldn't
single.
actually pick that. So I thought maybe T-shirt, but I gave the Cant Say No Award to Migos.
Migos is the group.
Yes, I mean Quavo, Offset, whoever did other verses, I include those all as Migo verses at this point. And man, they've done a lot of them. I mean, besides releasing an album in January, Culture. They were recently on Bon Appetit off Katy Perry's album Witness. They were on Slide by Calvin Harris. They also were on the new DJ Khaled album.
Yeah.
They did a song with 2 Chainz. Steve Aoki and them collaborated.
Halsey.
Juicy J.
Sean Paul.
Yachty. I mean, they've been on everybody's album. They are blowing up this year, and they just can't say no. They're getting that money, cashing those checks. Was there even anyone else that you could think of?
No, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, it's funny because all of the rap verses they've done make total sense. They fit well.
Sure.
And then all of like the pop verses they've done is like, oh, you gave them money, they didn't say no.
Right.
Like it's just kind of funny how that works out. Like rap business as usual. Migos is hot, of course everyone wants them, and they're happy to oblige. But like the pop sphere, Liam Payne.
Right. Yeah.
One Directioner's debut single features Quavo. I don't know how much harder you could try.
I know.
But he did.
The thing is, I think we're going to look back at this year and be like, this was probably the year of Migos. I mean, they're blowing up. They're going to literally have a song coming out every single month that will probably be at least a pop hit for that month, even if it's not long lasting. I mean, Bon Appetit, for lack of how much we like it, or for better or for worse,
we don't, but
is something that people are listening to. It's an actual song people enjoy, and Migos is all over that.
Do they though? It's been pretty derided.
I don't know, man. I mean, Katy Perry, just in general, she sells albums. People are gonna listen to that song.
Oh yeah, in that regard.
I mean,
sure.
I guess maybe not enjoy is the right word, but
right. It'll be heard.
Yeah, they won't
True.
digest it very well.
Hey.
But Migos actually very, very recently, about a week ago, had an interesting encounter at the BET Awards with Joe Budden.
A pseudo altercation.
Yeah, what was that? Joe Budden just seemed very frustrated.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was Joe Budden, Academics, and I forget her name, the girl that they all host Everyday Struggle every day on Complex.
Yep.
It's a rap discussion show. It's actually pretty interesting. It's similar to like a Colin Cowherd or a First Take, an Undisputed type of discussion about what's happening in hip hop, and
right.
They have guests on and stuff. But Joe Budden has quickly become a firebrand as a just a critique and hater of people like Lil Yachty and anybody new, basically.
Right.
Because he's a curmudgeonly old lyrical guy that's mad that the industry machine didn't help him more than it could have. But I digress. He's rude sometimes. He's pretty crass, and he just kind of seemed to piss off Migos from the start, and they almost threw hands by the video we saw.
Yeah, Offset seemed.
And Academics like, no, please don't fight here.
It was pretty interesting. And then also Chris Brown. What happened with that?
I actually don't even know the source of that beef. I don't
Okay.
know. Chris Brown's mad that he's not as relevant as he once was.
He just fights with everybody, dude. He's a head case.
And true.
When Chris Brown started to see where he is now,
he started when he was 16. It's been a long time.
All I remember is what was that song? It's like One Night, something like that. All we needed was one night.
Sure, yeah.
So,
he's got like 7 albums. He's got a lot of music.
And then No Air with Jennifer Hudson. Those are the 2 Chris Brown songs I'll ride for.
He still can dance. But
yeah.
His singing voice is not quite as good as it once was. A little
Brown,
too much trees.
Chris Brown proves that if you can dance, America will forgive you for a lot of things.
Yeah. There's some good pieces about the Fall from Grace from Trey songs, which you can check out because it relates directly to Chris Brown.
Maybe we'll tweet that out from the pod at Nowstalgia Pod on Twitter. Why don't we move on to another category? Best comeback. A lot of people that could win this one because, I mean, depending on how you want to categorize a comeback, there was about 4 artists that hadn't released an album in over 2 years that released another album, including Bleachers, Lord, Paramore.
That's not a comeback to me. That's just them working. So they released their next album.
Right. So DC, they could be considered in there. Hulu. What would you pick? I mean, what?
The obvious choice is DC, coming off of
Is one good movie a comeback?
That's actually important to ask because in DC's case, they'll be having Zack Snyder's Justice League come out this fall,
Right.
which more than likely won't be as strong as Wonder Woman. So Wonder Woman, like logistically, almost came out too early because they'll be ushering in this new phase of DCU with Aquaman being the next one up, and it seems like they want to have this new director-driven solo film venture, but shit, with the Snyder movie still coming out.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's still a comeback because, I mean, if we were talking before, if this Wonder Woman movie wasn't a critical hit, it would have been bad news because that would have been three critical bombs in a row.
Right.
So the fact that they were able to rebound like this, and Patty Jenkins, obviously, highest grossing female director of all time, resounding success story. So you got to give DC credit.
Yeah, Wonder Woman holding strong at the box office, and just all the stories coming out around it, and the different Amazons, things like that, has gotten a lot of shine. DC's a great pick. I personally picked Paramore, just because, unlike Lord and Bleachers, who had been kind of consistently working and at least relevant.
Yeah.
Paramore, people didn't even think were going to be coming back.
Right. I mean, they were hardly a band. It was just Haley Williams and people that played instruments for her.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden they come back with After Laughter.
Got that drummer back or whatever who was gone, but now he's back now or whatever.
The brother of one of the other.
Not important.
But yeah, that album, After Laughter, is a great pop album.
80s inspired pop album too.
Yeah.
Not only they come back, but they come back with an album people like.
And I have to imagine that starting next year, they're going to be headlining a lot of festivals, doing.
Sure.
They have a tour, I think, starting in the fall, so they're going to be.
Hard times are over.
Yeah. Great job, Dave. That was excellent.
Times.
What about Hulu though? So they were someone that we each thought interesting. We didn't go with them, but they're on a bit of a comeback.
Well, yeah. In general, Hulu has not been up to par with Netflix or Amazon in terms of being an original content curator as far as the streaming giants go. Obviously, their bread and butter is TV.
Yeah.
And not their own TV at that. But having something like The Handmaid's Tale, which really actually got some conversation going, and partially because of its disturbing parallels to the present day, but just having them have a unique hit kind of puts them on the map, and I'm very curious to see if Hulu starts putting a lot more money into original content and tries to force their hand and force their way into the conversation that we traditionally leave up to HBO, Netflix, and Amazon right there.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. It's gonna be a hard sphere to break into. I think we have an award that we'll be talking a little bit more about why that is. They actually recently announced Hulu Live, where you can buy a Hulu subscription and then have access to live TV as well. Which
smart. That's a great way to get at cord cutters.
It's interesting though, because I feel like a lot of times people are getting a service like Hulu because they don't really care about watching shows like
Not enough stuff's appointment viewing to most people.
And
that's a good point.
The major stuff is cable network. I mean, it's like award shows, sports.
You watch it on your own time. Yeah.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. But DC, Paramore are two comeback winners of the year. Let's move on to why don't we do show of the year? So a couple of shows that come to mind for this category. Leftovers we talked about. Fargo wrapped up recently. Better Call Saul's been excellent this year.
Twin Peaks hasn't finished yet, and we haven't watched it, but it's getting a ton of love, so I'm sure that'll be on our end of your list.
Ton of love. But the show I went with, Dave, The Young Pope.
Great choice.
Did you choose The Young Pope as well?
I didn't pick my choice yet, so I won't pick The Young Pope now.
Interesting. Yeah, so I picked Young Pope because when I was thinking
Love that
about
show.
What has resonated most with me this year, the moments that I take away from Young Pope have stuck with me since January. And I mean, when you do something like this, it's very easy to have recency bias.
Absolutely.
When
I'm surprised you didn't pick Master of None.
Master of None was excellent, but when I think about the scenes, I think about that scene in Africa where it shows him in the field with his arms outstretched, just looking up to the sky, or that final scene where he's giving the speech and looking for his parents. Those things stick with me and touch me emotionally more than almost any other piece of culture this year.
Yeah, it's definitely up there for things I've continued to think about as they have long finished.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point. The part of the reason you have so much recency bias with trying to pick a best of year for TV is
there's so much.
All the prestige shows are trying to come out before the June 1st Emmy cutoff, so they'll be eligible for the Emmys this fall. So that's why like House of Cards came out on May 30th, the last possible day.
Yeah,
And we talked about weeks ago about the dearth of shows. Every week, multiple new shows coming out. And a lot of times the full season because they're on a streaming service. So many choices to pick. And I went to look back, a little further. Like Young Pope, obviously, that was January. I think Big Little Lies, I want to shout them out because people are quickly forgetting about that show. But that was something that really grabbed everyone. Yep. But I'm going to go with Legion. Of course, our guy Noel Hawley.
Yeah.
And really just breaking new ground. Continuing to show that FX is the best channel on TV.
Yeah, man, that Baroque scene or Brock scene, however I forgot, I don't know how you
Baroque.
say it. Yeah, the way that Aubrey Plaza, that is
her
also,
best role by far as well.
Also something that's like ingrained in my mind is just like that scene.
Dan Stevens breakout,
Yep.
lot to love in Legion, and a lot of unique things there.
Yeah, Noah Hawley actually had an interesting year because he comes out with Legion, which it's the first season, he's kind of establishing it. But it's an interesting IP. Then he has Fargo, which is kind of old IP at this point, but been critically acclaimed. And it seems like Legion, much more well received than Fargo this year. And it's interesting because Fargo might not be coming back, whereas Legion is now kind of where he seems to be putting most of his effort, at least TV-wise right now. So, why don't we move on, though, to the Kanye Headliner Award. So to explain this award, last year I tried to see Kanye West twice as a headliner.
Same.
Governor's Ball rained out, and then he decided to just drive through New York City after playing Summer Jam, and basically created a small like shutdown of Manhattan.
Webster Hall.
Yeah. And then we went to go see him at the Meadows, headliner, and he left the show about 30 minutes early, 15 minutes early.
Kim got robbed.
Yeah, Kim got held up at gunpoint in Paris. So then we were like, hey, you know what? We're going to go see him again. We're going to go
St. Pablo tour.
At the St. Pablo tour at Times Union Center in Albany. And guess what? He canceled it about a month before.
15 shows at the end of the tour, yeah.
Because he was not in a good place. So Kanye was very disappointing to me for festivals last year. And I wanted to...
How crazy would it have been that we almost saw Kanye 3 times in one year?
It would have been amazing.
I thought about that recently. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
What could have been?
It would have been incredible. And probably one of the few artists I would actually go see multiple times for the price point.
Of course.
But festivals having a horrible year, man. So
there's a lot of them. We reviewed many of them.
Yeah, we reviewed many of them. Some of the institutional ones like Coachella, Governor's Ball, Lollapalooza,
Ultra.
Yeah, Ultra. I don't know. We didn't
Ultra
really
is what it is. It's like EDC.
Yeah, and then there's other ones like Rolling Loud, which we talked about was pretty awesome. But Mysteryland was canceled. We talked about that. We talked about Fire Festival, which grabbed the culture. And,
LOL.
I mean, that was just a horrible event. Bonnaroo last year had the lowest sales it's had since, I think, the 90s in terms of people.
How did this year? Just happened.
It did much better this year. But the interesting part about it was...
We didn't like the lineup at the time. We talked about that.
Yeah. The lineup this year we liked less, but last year they had LCD Sound System, they had Grateful Dead, they had Pearl Jam, and they still undersold. Basically, it was like the 15, 20-year anniversary, and they put all this money into making sure they had huge headliners, but the undercard was very weak, showing that people are going to this festival for the whole lineup,
quantity,
not just the top. Firefly just wrapped up last weekend, 2 weekends ago, and it did very poorly.
Really?
It undersold.
Again, we didn't like the album. We didn't like the lineup at all.
Yeah, undersold per day. Now, they also suffered from something that Coachella suffered from. They were supposed to have Beyonce as one of their headliners, and when Beyonce backed out, they had to scramble to fill that. But
who was their choice? Coachella did Lady Gaga. Who did?
So it was supposed to be Beyonce, and then they got Bob Dylan and The Weeknd to fill in, which, I mean... Who the fuck is getting excited to go see Bob Dylan?
Nobody.
If your age range that you're targeting is 18 to 24-year-olds?
He didn't perform good 30 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So, festivals in general. We talked about maybe the festival bubble is going to be bursting. It seems like it might be starting.
We'll see if Panorama sticks around.
Yeah, Panorama is going to be a good test case for this because
second year of it.
They shrink the festival down in size compared to Governor's Ball. They close off certain parts so that's not as big and not as many people can attend, so they keep it a little bit smaller. But they're a very specific one. So if they can survive, they're going more for like alt rock with some hip hop mixed in
R&B.
Yeah. So if they can survive and do well, that'll be a little telling if that bubble's really about to burst. But why don't we move on to something a little more optimistic? Our movies of the year. So I think we should probably say we haven't seen a ton of movies this year. So
I've seen a good amount.
well, you've seen a lot of plain movies. I feel.
No, I've seen a lot of blockbusters.
I
saw all the main movies.
I have not seen many of the main movies.
I chose not to see The Mummy. I'll see Transformers eventually. I saw Kong. Saw Logan. Saw a few others in the spring. But yeah.
I haven't seen many.
I've seen a fair amount.
Put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I think you mentioned a couple that could be up for this. Logan. Wonder Woman's been doing very well.
Yep.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
Get
there
Out.
You go. March.
So, what do you think?
John Wick 2. Lego Batman. 50 Shades Darker.
Yeah, Lego Batman. I saw it the other day.
Did you?
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. It mixes
How'd you feel about the first one? Lego movie.
Oh, I loved it.
Really, I was not as high on it as everyone. Everyone like loved it, said it was really good, and I was like, yeah, it was success. It was successful. It worked, but I didn't find it like super endearing.
I really enjoy those goofy comedies. I mean, like this is a
Boogie Nights is one of your favorite movies.
Boogie Nights is fantastic. Which I mean, Mark Wahlberg playing a stupid character is always fun for me. But
so you'd like Transformers,
for example. Basically like he's basically Channing Tatum in that movie. You know, like when Channing Tatum gets to kind of like wink at the camera and just be goofy. I mean, like that's basically Mark Wahlberg in that role.
Sure.
But digressing a bit, I enjoyed the Muppet movie that came out in like 2011
with Jason Segel.
Yeah, like I enjoyed that, or 2012 I think it was. So I kind of like those movies that are kind of aimed to be just silly and.
Did you see Rough Night?
No.
Are you gonna see The House with Will Ferrell?
Yes, probably.
I want to see that.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. And our man Jason.
Mantzoukas.
Yeah, Mantzoukas.
Rafi.
Yeah.
Goat.
But what's your movie of the year, Dave?
My movie of the year is watching a movie I haven't seen because I think it's the clear winner in terms of critical love this year. It's Get Out.
Get Out.
Jordan Peele's directorial debut, the first movie by an African-American director to gross $100 million, in which it was also that director's screenplay. Movie only cost $4.5 million to produce and did not have any A-list stars. I mean, it was a resounding success, and what that shows to studios in terms of not needing pre-established IP or lots of heavy effects to have a successful movie that people will go to see for months. I think that it's the clear success of the year so far.
Yeah, Get Out's a pretty undisputable choice for this. I think just going from movies I've seen, I think Wonder Woman has a right to be talked about just in terms of what it did for DC, like we already talked about. But I think I'm actually going to pick Logan.
Yeah.
Like when I think about movies...
I didn't see Get Out, so I would pick Logan.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, Logan it hit all the right notes for Marvel movie that's first rated R1. Or no, is it the first rated R1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's Fox, not really Marvel, but...
Right.
Second rated R. Deadpool's rated R.
Yeah.
But first rated R, that was serious.
Yeah, and exactly like a serious superhero movie, telling a different story. Yeah, definitely a success, and it opens up a lot of other possibilities. Like you see Tom Hardy coming on as Venom now, and you think like that movie's gonna be rated R. It's gonna be a more serious movie. It seems like what direction can they actually go in based off of Logan's success now? Very exciting. Moving on though. The Juggernaut Award.
Oh.
So this is a network award.
Speaking of X-Men.
Yeah. This is a network award for what network we think is the unstoppable force in their respective realm. I went with HBO.
Safe pick.
Yeah, very safe pick.
A good pick nonetheless.
It
always is.
Yeah, they've probably been winning this for the last couple of years. But you already mentioned Big Little Lies, Young Pope, Veep, Silicon Valley, Crashing, Leftovers, Watchmen going to be coming up. Insecure was a little... we didn't really talk about it, but it really captured African American culture a lot, which is
Ice Ray was at the BET Awards,
right? And they have Vice on there, which is an interesting look at a different perspective on news. They still have like stand up, which they're actually losing that sphere recently to Netflix.
Yeah, they had the Gerard Carmichael special, T.J. Miller. Yeah.
So, and of course they have Game of Thrones, which
is not out yet, but yeah, I think they had to start coming in 2017 with Westworld really taking over so much of the mindshare in the fall, and then all the shows you just mentioned, like Young Pope and Big Little Lies, they've shown that they're able to just keep the
Right.
hits coming year round. They're not relying on Game of Thrones, whereas a show like AMC has struggled to really keep all the hits going in a post Breaking Bad and Mad Men,
Right.
realm for the network.
And even in the late night sphere, I mean, John Oliver probably puts out things that, more consistently. I mean, he's only doing one a week, whereas like Stephen Colbert's doing 5 shows a week.
Bill Maher's been in the news, not necessarily positive, but
Yeah, but he puts out some interesting stuff. But yeah, not the recent stuff, not so much.
Right.
But what would be the runner-up for you, Dave? Or what did you pick?
Yeah, I think this talking about like systemic changes. I think you have to think about Netflix here. I mean, Netflix, their content budget year to year now is over $6 billion.
Crazy.
You mentioned the comedy sphere. They are just buying their way into stand-up comedy, and just thinking about the way their business model works, throwing $20 million at Chris Rock and Jerry Seinfeld and Louis C.K., etc. Dave Chappelle, absolutely, per special, is nothing to them because that's actually cheaper than a lot of their shows.
Yeah.
Which cost over $1 million an episode easily, right?
It's kind of crazy that it's going to be a released Dave Chappelle stand-up, which he hasn't done stand-up in, 5 years?
Yeah, there's 2 now. Already out.
So there's 2 out in February, and then Seinfeld's, I think, supposed to be coming out in August or September.
Chris Rock has a few already.
So
and then also the deal they've struck with Adam Sandler, I think it's been re-upped to, I think, 5 movies. And obviously that's not our cup of tea, those films, but those movies kill. And it's such a great investment for them. So they have that portfolio going. And
actually, The Cobbler, not a bad Adam Sandler movie.
Oh, yeah, you saw it?
Yeah, I, for some reason, threw it on when my friend Dylan was here, and we actually somewhat enjoyed it.
And, it's not all roses and whatnot for Netflix. They're having a harder, tighter leash on new series now. They're canceling things sooner, like The Get Down and Sense8. But and Bloodline obviously was let go because it was failing critically, but also cost a ton of money. But either way, Netflix clearly knows what they're doing, and they're continuing to expand. Or something like Amazon, they're continuing to grow outside of content. Is just one aspect of what Amazon does, whereas Netflix wants to be the sole content hub.
Yeah, and like The Get Down was recently canceled as well. But they also had Glow come out, which pretty much out of nowhere has become a show that's capturing some of those.
And that's what they do every time with Stranger Things. Most prolifically last year.
Exactly, and that's coming out for a second season on Halloween. So
they got Wet Hot American Summer 10 years later coming in August. The Defenders is coming in August, and who knows what else, because obviously stuff always sneaks up on us like Glow.
And I wonder if there's almost a way for both of these, HBO and Netflix, to kind of hold the crown in a way. Because Netflix dumped everything, whereas HBO is still week to week. It's still a cable or premium channel.
Master of None, of course, can't forget.
Oh yeah, Master of None, great show, beautiful second season. All right, so moving on to the Breakout Star Award. So this is our second to last award. So this is the person who has really person, thing, whatever, that we feel like has really captured culture this year and out of nowhere.
Playboy Cardi.
Playboy Cardi's in there.
Shout him out. Obviously not the breakout star, but his star has risen a lot more than I thought it would because his mixtape was pretty underwhelming.
If you listen to last week's pod, soundcloud.com/nostalgiapod, we talked about Fargo and David Thewlis and Mary Elizabeth Winstead and how they were the breakout stars from this season. Daphne Keane from Logan.
Yeah. She's young, so that's a good one. It's kind of weird calling David Thewlis a breakout star,
right? He's been
because
around.
Such an established, theater actor, and obviously we saw him in Harry Potter and other stuff, and Wonder Woman. So he not only he broke out, but it's kind of like a reemergence in the mainstream.
Yes, absolutely. Halsey, we talked about. Gal Gadot.
She's huge. We didn't like her album that much, but Halsey's undeniably huge.
Someone I wanted to throw out there, LeVar Ball.
Sure.
Breakout star. Big baller brand got his son on.
I don't know about
Lakers.
BBB, but and also he didn't get his son on the Lakers. Lonzo got himself in the Lakers, but
he's been calling it since he was like 2 years old. Man.
True. I think LeVar said he heard it from Zeus when he was young. Shout out LeVar, man. He's just trying to put on for his kids, and you watch how Trump got elected, and LeVar saw that, hey, just say a bunch of outrageous shit, and because my son's high profile enough, they'll keep paying attention to me.
Right.
It's working, so I'm happy for them, I guess.
Some other people that could possibly win: Dan Stevens, David Kaluuya,
Daniel.
Daniel Kaluuya. There you go. Jesus, I think I called him David when I did the
It's okay.
Black Panther.
That was part of why Get Out was such a big success, and it's so important because Daniel Kaluuya wasn't a big star. You don't even know his name.
Yeah, exactly. Migos.
Yep.
We talked about how this is
continuation from December, but it culminated with the Oscars.
Right.
Or the Oscars. What Don Glover made a speech.
That's awesome.
I mean, that wasn't the Oscars. The Grammys.
It was the
Emmys.
No, was it?
Was it?
It was the Golden Globes.
That's what. Yeah, yeah.
Definitely
for
Golden
Atlanta,
Globes.
right? Because it was this year.
Yep.
Golden Globes.
But
Emmys were in the fall.
So Dave, who did you pick? Who's your breakout star?
It's tough to really think of one. I think, you really all covered. I don't really know who broke out more among the rest. I mean, there's a lot of
have somebody.
Continuations of stars, right? Like Migos as a collective, Quavo leading the way. Donald Glover's been hot since last year. Chance has been hot since last year.
So let me
offer. I can't pick T Grizzly here, obviously.
Let me offer someone we talked a lot about last week.
Sure.
Someone that you compared to Chance the Rapper or Kanye West.
Vince
Staples.
Yeah.
I mean, that album is straight fire.
Mm-hmm.
He spits hot fire, Dave. And that album is so unique. And like you said, he has the potential to have influence on hip-hop in a way that only a few people really do with his unique perspective.
That's all true, but I don't know how much of a star he's going to become off this project.
Interesting.
He's been popular and well-received in rap circles since 2014.
Mm-hmm.
We've known who he is.
Right.
We've liked him. He's gotten better every time. And again, we had nothing but good things to say about Big Fish Theory, but I don't know if this is going to catapult him into the stratosphere despite what we think of his creative future, if that makes sense.
Then if I had to pick somebody, I'd probably go with Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I mean, she's been working since, I think, like the late 90s, but you can name her in maybe 3 movies.
Scott Pilgrim, 10 Cloverfield Lane. That's about all I got.
And I think the other project you might know her from, I had to go look on her Wikipedia, that I saw before was...
And the point is she'll get tons of more roles from this.
Yeah, she was in Live Free or Die Hard as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Die Hard 4.
Which I'm pretty sure her role was...
Low-key badass moment in that. John McClane shoots himself to kill the bad guy. Badass.
So I think you're going to see her really getting a lot more starring roles. She's only 33. Yeah. So she could definitely have...
10 Cloverfield Lane helped get her in this, and then it's going to go from there. So good for her.
Movie. She also has a singing... Oh, she's also an Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. As Mary Todd Lincoln. Think about that.
Yes. Well-established First Lady.
So yeah, she would be my choice, but Vince Staples, man, I think this album is going to be big.
But Lord. There's a lot about melodrama.
Can you break out after how well... I mean, Royals...
It's true, yeah.
Won the...
She's already a huge star.
Yeah.
It's just critically oh wait, no,
yeah.
Lord is on some shit.
Yeah, she's going to be a stud.
Mm-hmm.
Stud. Yeah, so there's a lot of options. Tweet us who you think at Nowstalgia Pod.
What's the major L of the first half so far? Is it Katy Perry?
No, because she still sold a lot.
It's true, number 1 album.
Biggest L. Maybe The Get Down. Huge.
That started last year, though.
Yeah, true.
Oh, it's tough, because anyone I think of, oh, Yachty's album didn't do that. Yeah, but Yachty still got a ton of money and doing really good.
Right.
So, there's no, clear, oh, that guy really sucked this year. Katy Perry from a cachet standpoint, but she's still doing just fine, obviously.
I don't think this is the biggest album. Maybe the one that I thought was bigger than I expected was Drake. Because he released Passion Fruit, and then a week later, Kendrick's like, "Oh, okay."
Well, Understealing, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Passion Fruit has. He didn't drop Passion Fruit. That's not the name.
More Life. You did this
More
before.
Life. I do this all the time. Passion Fruit's the only song I really remember from it. So I think for me, it seems like Kendrick really just stomped on Drake's shine.
Well, see, as Drake always does, and I've been saying for a while, he just dropped 3 songs.
Yeah, just doing it all the time.
2 weeks ago, so.
So in terms of a project that might be, I'm trying to think if there's any others that really stand out. Nothing I can think of. So,
no, I don't think so.
That kind of leads us though to record of the year. You already kind of gave yours away. Pick "Damn" by Kendrick Lamar. Mm-hmm. What else was in the running for you though?
Let's see. Culture, melodrama, After Laughter, shout out. More Life, shout out. Joey Badass. Vince Staples, probably.
I knew Joey Badass would be up there for you.
I want to. You watch some top 10 lists, and 2017 thus far, you'll see Hendrix by Future. Fuck that, bad album. Ed Sheeran's Divide. Come on.
We already talked about that.
Halsey now.
Yeah.
Father John Misty. All right, it's defensible choice, I guess. Sampha, we liked him.
Yeah, Sampha, I can ride for.
Thundercat.
Yeah, Thundercat's album, actually, that's an underrated album from this year.
Do you still like the XX album?
I do, but it didn't stay with me the way I thought it would. But there are still some songs off that, like Dangerous, obviously,
On
Hold.
Right. The Gorillaz album, nowhere near this, of course.
No, not even close. TMO was up there for me. I talked about how much I like that album. Yeah, I went with Melodrama, and we talked about it on the pod.
Those are my top two right now, so
I mean,
can't go wrong.
I basically was listening to the Louvre on repeat on my drive back from my parents' house this past week. It was, but the thing is, it could be a different song off that album every day at this point. There's so many good ones.
That's the thing about really succinct, deep albums that are 40 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Is that you can always jump into them.
Yep. Like any car ride, you're just like, oh yeah, let's throw this on and here we go. Just start there.
Damn is getting to Yeezus status for me though. In the set, Life of Pablo status for me though, where my favorite song is changing a lot.
Yeah.
Because there's that many strong choices.
There's a ton of strong choices off that album, and just Kendrick at this point, he's definitely up to that Kanye level for me, where it's just. So
he's in the pantheon of rappers already.
Oh, for sure, but I think for myself, I always held like Kanye up to a different level because he takes such a unique, like we talked about Vince Staples, how unique his album is, and Kanye's always sound different, and it's always something that you haven't really heard or different take, and Kendrick really does that well now too. So he has a very cool perspective, and yeah, you're right. Like any song off that album could be your favorite song on any given day,
except for God. That song's a little corny.
Though, I do have to say, Love is like goes back and forth. Like sometimes it's such a touching song, and like for
they
Kendrick
still make sense in the album, so
right.
It's okay.
For Kendrick to write a love song and just totally nail it
after Lust,
right? It's just like holy shit,
right.
Dude, that album's great. So that's our awards of the year. Any last thoughts, Dave?
No, I think it's been a really good year. A lot of good music.
Right.
Music's been really heavy.
These lists are gonna look a lot different by December.
Right. And like looking ahead, obviously we know summer blockbuster season. A lot of big ones are still coming or just came out. Then obviously Oscar bait, all the awards fodder has yet to come out. So movies we've barely really begun.
Sure.
That's why I was confident picking a movie like Get Out I haven't seen. Music, we got a lot of music. I don't know how much music is really on the horizon besides the stuff we know about, like Action Bronson and Haim.
Well, we have LCD Sound System.
Right, they got a date too.
Yeah, Jay-Z will be coming out.
Foo Fighters got a date.
Yeah, Foo Fighters. There's also another one that.
But I'm like, unless like a Taylor Swift drops in the fall, like what is that like huge fall? Because we already got Drake, Lord Kendrick, Katy Perry. Yeah. There are a lot of big names already.
Yeah,
so I just don't.
You're
right. I just don't know how much more we're gonna get. But either way, it's been a great year.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
TV, obviously, we know doesn't stop.
Right. Yeah. TV.
Mr. Robot hasn't come yet.
Yeah. Game of Thrones, Mr. Robot, Stranger Things seain 2.
Yep.
And yeah, there's gonna be a lot of changes to this list, but that's the really exciting part. You need to come back every week and hear Nowstalgia Pod. We're going to be breaking it down for you all year. So keep stopping by, keep tweeting at us, give us a review on iTunes.
Subscribe on YouTube. Big help. Here. And then there later.
And share us with your friends. This might be a good place to start because if they like this one, pretty digestible pod,
go back.
To go dig deeper.
Yeah, all them reviews.
We must go deeper.
Getting them takes.
Inception that shit. Use the top.
Shout out Chris Nolan, Dunker. Can't wait.
Next week we'll be reviewing it. Anyways, until then, we love you. We out.